The Underworld is the eventual destination of any person who plays Terraria and who has any desire to beat the game. It's a biome you'll need to find and conquer regardless of what kind of run you are doing in the game. This begs the question, how well is such an important biome actually designed? And today, we're primarily considering how well it's designed for a noob to understand, how hard is it for the noob to get a grasp as to the purpose of this biome, and to figure out the important progression markers that are down here. There are 3 primary features that any person must learn in the Underworld: Shadow Chest, Hellstone, and Voodoo Dolls. My friend Travis has been doing a blind run of the game without any wiki and almost no help from me. And from his perspective, we will learn a lot about how well the Underworld is designed and how noob-friendly it may or may not be. The first time that Travis found himself entering the Underworld was the same way I'm sure a lot of people ended up finding it. He just kept going deeper.
Okay. Deeper. Maybe there is an ocean down here. It's the ocean of Kool-Aid. But we shall find out. Call us Jules Verne, because we're going to the center of the earth.
Eventually, the background changes as the player enters into the new biome, and Travis in particular is using sound cues to understand that there's something down here.
Oh, I still hear creatures below us, so there must be something.
You're the lowest you've ever been.
Yeah.
Your low point, Travis.
This is my low point. Yeah. It's okay, at least I'm with friends. And look, there's other things down here. We are not alone in this vast world of ours. Whee! Ah!
Oh no!
Oh, what? That was mean. The track went under lava.
His first visit to the Underworld, and he never really saw the biome, just got to the point that the background changed. But now that he knew of its existence, he did something quite smart. Seeing the long and winding path he took to get down there, and knowing his tendency to die, he decided it would be smart to start digging.
Going down is a pain, so let's dig a hole.
I know for myself, it took years before I started digging elevators because I couldn't be bothered with the chore of digging them, even if they would end up saving time in the end. Hearing Travis come to the conclusion that he needed to dig one so soon after learning of the Underworld's existence was remarkable to me. This is less a note on how the Underworld is designed and more on how players will react to knowing it exists. But it has me genuinely curious how many of you watching this ended up digging elevators on your first playthrough, and how many of you didn't even think to do so.
We have a hole in the desert. Whoa! Maybe we'll get to the bottom of the world faster this way.
And so Miney did, through the desert biome, unfortunately for him.
This is scary. Oh, come on.
Hey!
This is probably the worst place we could have picked to mine.
And surprisingly, he was doing a good job at getting around the lava. He even tried using sand to extinguish some of the lava in his path.
Will the lava be at
Hey,
the bottom?
that worked.
Oh, it did not work!
That doesn't work.
Getting around lava is always the most annoying part of making any elevator. No matter where you start mining, it's inevitable you'll encounter at least one pocket of the hot red stuff. And though annoying, I don't think it demands any sort of change, as it has other uses such as indicating to the player that they are low in the world, indicating an important change. It just happens to be in the way, and learning to navigate it now is much better than trying to learn once you're in the Underworld. Speaking of, what were his first impressions the first time he actually found himself down there?
Where are we? Is this?
Ah,
Whoa. Ooh, is this the Underworld? Ah,
ah, he's under
what
attack.
are you? The guy was shooting flame balls at me.
Uh-huh.
It's getting hot in here. I don't know what that means.
Oh, you got an
Is this
achievement?
hell? Yes.
Is this hell, he says?
Hell bat. Yes. I assume so. This is a very pleasant place. Whoa! That thing's huge! I did not know there was stuff here in the middle of the earth. Ooh, a chandelier. Do you think Dylan might like that? Don't mind us, we're just digging around. That's a cool table. I like that.
Starts stealing furniture from hell.
They won't mind. There's no one here to miss it. Well, let's figure out if there's something cool going on in here. What is this? Just a pile of bones. It's a hell snail, magma snail. Okay.
Nope.
I'm dead.
Immediately kills it.
It's hell. Everything's hostile, isn't it?
That's fair. That's fair.
He hadn't gotten very far when his first voodoo demon spawned, arguably one of the most important mobs of the game, responsible for teaching players how to summon the Wall of Fresh by first doing so on accident.
Voodoo demon? That's what it says.
Uh-huh.
Oh! Here we go! We found a guy!
Found a guy.
Whoa, you are beautiful! Not...
Wow, you are beautiful, he says. Jumps into lava.
Oh!
He's toast. Oh no.
That is... Cool. Success, we found another boss.
Found another boss indeed, but there's one key problem with voodoo demons. Does the player notice them? See, Travis did not notice the text on the bottom left of his screen, and admittedly it's kind of small. He did not note how the demon was different, and he did not see the voodoo doll hit the lava. So when he wanted to summon the wall again, he had no idea what he was doing.
I'm curious about that fella again. The demon the whatever. I didn't get to see his name. A wall of eyeballs and tentacles.
You actually are not that far off.
I saw a wall, a big eyeball, and tentacles. So therefore, I need to come up with a creative name for him.
Yeah. Why do you think the wall thing appeared?
I don't know why. I have no theory yet, other than just time spent in hell so far.
Now, the guide voodoo demon, I think, is one of the most interesting design choices where bosses are concerned. They are not in and of themselves a boss spawn item. In fact, if you pick one up, it won't tell you anything, hinting at what you need to do with it or that you need to throw it into lava. A new player, even if they did note the difference between voodoo and regular demons, still may have no idea what to do with the voodoo doll, particularly if they never happen to kill one of these demons above lava. Travis was lucky with his first one doing so, and I'm sure many Terraria veterans can wax poetic about how many times they have accidentally summoned the Wall of Fresh. Those anecdotes may be true, but I have a very honest question I think we should ask ourselves. Why would the new person stay down here? How likely are they to stick around, and will they do so long enough to stumble across the Wall of Fresh? I remember my first time playing this game, I was confused by the Underworld, and I only learned of the Wall of Fresh and how to summon it after I used the wiki. So, how many new players are able to learn of this mechanic on their own? It's a super cool mechanic and makes the wall really stick out with such an interesting spawn method. But with how hard and unreliable spawning it is, I can't help but wonder if the player should be given a little more of a hint. If nothing else, a little flavor text on the voodoo doll hinting at lava in one way or another could save a lot of people a lot of headache. This point is exasperated even further by the new player's obvious desire to make the Underworld safer, thus lowering the odds of accidentally summoning the wall.
Let's just make this place kids friendly. How's that sound?
He didn't get very far with these blocks before returning to the rail he had seen earlier.
Ooh, there's a train, there's a rail over here. That's a good way to tour the Underworld. I think. Let's try it, see where it goes. Hopefully not under lava like the last one.
This is a sort of easier way to tour the Underworld, but he forgot where this one ends.
No, not again! Same situation.
It's the same rail.
Is it?
It is.
No, it is?
It is.
When he returned home, he noticed that the tavern keep had moved in. See, he has two suitable houses. Both of them were made more or less on accident. But now that the tavern keep is moved in, the guide has nowhere to go. And so now he can't even spawn the wall on accident. I talked about it in another video, but Terraria desperately needs a way of teaching new players how to build suitable housing. Failing to learn this single mechanic can make the new player's experience exponentially worse, and in Travis's case, potentially hinder him from ever summoning the wall again and locking him in pre-hard mode until he breaks. For the time being though, he is exploring the Underworld.
Oh. Touching the wall? Touching this red ball burns me. Hellstone, that's why. Okay. It hurts quite a bit.
This is something I didn't realize until much later, but Travis interpreted this hell brick as being the same thing as Hellstone. He learned to use his map to identify things early in the game, and I think he accidentally had his mouse hovering over Hellstone when he thought it was over the hell brick. That screw up, paired with the fact that both burn you when you touch them, and his lack of a demonite pickaxe, I believe led him to believe they were one and the same, and considering how important Hellstone is for progression, this is a bit of an issue. In the meantime, as you can see, he has thought of a strange way around the Hellstone brick housing.
Alright, time to test it. Does it hurt to walk on? Yes, it does! That's gonna be annoying.
Not sure why it didn't occur to him to destroy the blocks in his way, but I feel like this is a common occurrence for noobs, erring on the side of building around an issue rather than bulldozing.
Okay, I think I need some boots or something to help protect me from there. Or something.
It's good that he understands this fact, that Terraria has given him a reason to believe there's a way to become immune to the fire debuff of these blocks. Terraria has methods for conquering anything you might encounter, and although he has not learned of the existence of obsidian, nor found any of the items and accessories that grant him immunity to other debuffs, he knows intuitively that this is something he can overcome. Once he passed the house though, he got to work on trying to summon the Wall of Fresh again. His first theory, destroying stuff, is what spawned him.
Let's go destroy some stuff in this other building, see if that does anything. Maybe they didn't like it. That's what we did last time. I'm taking your banner, taking your chandelier. How do you like that? Oh, how about this lamp? I am a pest. You're gonna come and get me. Oh, is that a chest down there?
The chest he thought he saw was actually a Hellforge.
What is that? I don't know. Can't interact with it. What is it? Oh, there we go. Now hell is complete. There's a piano.
For now, he has no idea what this thing is, and one thing I gotta say is that Relogic, you have great sprites and wonderful artists on your team. Can you use those talented people and resprite the Hellforge again? Frankly, it doesn't look like a furnace unless you zoom in real close on it, and even then, it's iffy. When you updated the Hellforge and regular furnace, you made them look different, and I think that confuses players. Before, you could interpret these as forges at a glance because they had the same general shape as the old furnace. Now, I like the new furnace sprite, but the new Hellforge one looks nothing like it, in particular, this shaded part. I still don't know what this is supposed to be. I think it's a 3D effect showing the forge curve inwards, but I have no idea. It just makes the flames in it harder to notice. And Travis, not knowing what it is, paired with his inability to mine it, made him draw an unexpected comparison.
Oh, is it one of those things, like the demon portal altar things? Last time, we could blow up the other thingies. Let's see if we can blow up this. Nope, it's still there. Okay. Well, I'm at a loss of how to do anything yet, but I figure out things eventually.
Without learning how to spawn the wall, and after taking a break, he turned his focus onto building houses. He did this with no thought towards the Underworld or getting the guide to spawn. This was completely spontaneous, and this I think is less a lesson in Terraria's game design and more a lesson in how players should approach the game. I think most people playing games tend to see something and then assume that's what they are supposed to do next. Most of the time this works, even in sandbox games like Terraria. In linear games, it makes even more sense because the next thing is the next thing, and in sandboxes, there's usually an obvious barrier or else you can conquer anything you encounter just with varying levels of difficulty. Travis would often find something in game and become fixated on it. Any new thing was the next thing in his mind, which makes sense. How would he know the technical way you're supposed to progress in the game? So this is more a piece of advice for anyone who is newer at the game. If you're stuck on something, it's okay to stop and do something else. There's a lot of new things to learn and discover in Terraria, and some of those are as mundane as making nice houses. As for the houses Travis is making, he actually made an NPC hotel, and that cracks me up. These are just the natural state of things. His primary issue, he doesn't understand how large these rooms need to be.
This is a not bad looking building, I don't think.
In total, he made one more suitable house that the Goblin Tinkerer moved into before returning to the Underworld.
Hey, now how to get a wall to show up. I really don't know what I did other than break stuff.
He was still stuck thinking that the wall spawning had something to do with the obsidian houses.
I don't think it worked.
By not working, do you mean like it didn't spawn the wall?
It didn't spawn the wall, no.
Side note, pinkies can spawn in the Underworld? Back to the Underworld design, he finally finds a shadow chest.
Oh, I need a key to open that. That's interesting. I haven't seen that yet.
Yeah.
Cool.
How do you think you would get that key?
Well, we have some from other places. we have a golden key,
Right, right.
and we got it from like a loot room or something. Secret tunnel.
Secret tunnel through the mountain.
He hadn't killed Skeletron yet, but he did find a wood chest with a gold key high up in the dungeon. I like it when the dungeon has one of these, as it tells the player there are locked chests that are likely in the dungeon, and locked chests just scream, I have loots, and well, good loot, but we'll talk more about that in a video about the dungeon.
Okay, so theory is just destroy everything. So far, hasn't worked yet.
And I think his theory about the houses is starting to be disproven to him. We've spent a couple sessions of him trying to figure out the Underworld and doing a few things in between. He's also been collecting all the paintings and furniture of the Underworld for some reason. At this point, being stuck on the wall has gotten him thinking about the point of the game.
Well, I was thinking, it's like, okay, we have one more boss that I know about down in the Underworld. And we learned last time how to get people to hang out. So I was like, maybe the point of the game is to save all the people and have them live in the city that it wants us to make or something. I'm just trying to think of things that would look like progress.
It's kind of ironic that he thinks saving the NPCs is the point of the game when the boss he's trying to figure out requires he sacrifice one of them. But irony aside, this theory of his has resulted in him expanding his suitable housing and actually figuring out what is required to make them suitable. He couldn't spell it out to you per se, but he understood enough to consistently make them. This had an unintended and unfortunate side effect that I and probably you could never have seen coming.
I heard there's a doll that looks very similar to Maxwell and somewhere in the other world. I'd like to put a few rounds in it. Okay, sir.
This line of flavor text is going to confuse Travis and send him in the wrong direction in the near future. But for now, he has his mind set on Shadow Chest.
Okay, let's go see if this shadow key will work where I think it's going to work.
Because the one thing he did between his missions to the Underworld was to defeat Skeletron and loot the dungeon.
Do you have any new theories or still nothing?
No, none at all. I have no idea what we did. I was able to unlock this chest.
Hey.
Magic Flame Lash, Treasure Magnet, Dynamite, and Teleportation Portal, Random Location. Okay, maybe that'll come in handy someday.
Did you notice the 4 shadow keys in his inventory? Yeah, he thinks shadow keys are consumable like the gold keys. Makes sense intuitively, but the tooltip says that it's not consumable, so we have to chalk that up to Travis not reading or maybe not even understanding what non-consumable means. The chest got him a little interested in the Underworld, but at the same time, he was starting to get desperate to figure out how to spawn the thing.
Do I have what I need to summon the guy?
Yes and no.
That's a strange answer.
Yes, it is.
Yes, because he has the guide and doesn't need to do anything special to get the wall to summon, and no, because he still needs the guide. It was honestly what I thought was the best answer to the question, because saying he had everything he needed would be a lie. He's missing the voodoo doll, but saying he needs something I feared would make him think he needs to go and do something else somewhere else in the world.
Okay, I'm just also confused by what you just said.
What I would just say is probably is if you want to try and figure it out, just explore.
Yay.
Yeah, don't think too much about it and just explore this new biome.
That has a very ominous sound to it.
He still hasn't figured out a better way around the Hellstone brick houses, but has at least figured out that the platforms don't burn him. And it was down here that he noticed a voodoo doll in his inventory where the flavor text the arms dealer gave him limited his capacity to consider what the doll is for.
We found the Maxwell doll that Tyrone was asking about.
Oh, the guide
I know
voodoo
the
doll.
guide voodoo doll.
Yeah.
That's really funny.
The odds of a noob reading that dialogue option from the arms dealer before learning how to summon the wall have got to be slim to none. But I can't help but wonder why the flavor text exists. Literally nothing happens if you do what the arms dealer is requesting. There is no point to it other than to mislead the player about one of the most important game mechanics. I guess you could glean that the arms dealer doesn't like the guide for the sake of pylons, but who has ever learned how to get all the pylons without using a wiki or YouTube or something? Back to Travis, he still can't figure out what he's supposed to do.
I haven't run across anything that would say This summons a big giant wall of evil, pain, and suffering. No theories. Nothing to spark my imagination.
This brings me back to the point of why the noob would spend time in the Underworld at all, especially if they haven't figured out suitable housing or have no luck with accidentally spawning the wall. Will they spend the time needed down here to actually have the stars align just right? Should there be some better indicator of what the noob should do? The demon chests are a wonderful design choice, as it gives the player a reason to spend more time down here, but assuming they find a few and call that good, or even find them all without ever accidentally summoning the wall, then what? I guess it's not the end of the world if they don't figure it out in a timely manner, but I remember for myself that I almost stopped playing Terraria because I ran out of things to do. I'm pretty sure that's what led me to use the game's wiki and how I learned that hard mode even existed, because I saw nothing else I could do, and I'm pretty sure I saw souls included in a recipe from the guide, leading me to wonder how to get those souls, which inevitably led me to hard mode and the wall. Travis, meanwhile, without a wiki, is kind of just left wandering around only because I'm following him. Thankfully, he saw the wall, so he knows there is something, and a regular noob at this point would likely break down and look it up, but I still think games should be self-explanatory, not requiring a wiki. And so I returned to my idea of adding a tooltip to the guide voodoo doll that mentions lava, or maybe it just says don't burn me, I don't know, especially since there's this whole other voodoo doll in the game, and it functions entirely differently from the guide one.
I have the Clothier voodoo doll. What? Why did I get that? When did I get that? Oh, and why do I have it equipped? Can I put the guide? I can put the guide voodoo doll on me too. Haha.
This has just confused him even more, but he presses on.
I'm trying to look for things that are out of place or look different or interesting or would hint to something as summonable. I'm just not seeing something. I'm seriously at a loss because all the other ones had you either killed those orbs to spawn the... what in the world? See? I didn't do anything.
Oh, you did do something.
I stood still long enough? Really?
No.
Wow. That is a lot of ugly arms.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, this looks really tricky to deal with.
Uh-oh. So you gotta go up.
Oh, this is...
Oh no!
Ow.
Oh.
Okay, I got squished by the wall. Okay, so you said I did something to spawn that guy in.
I will say you actively did something.
Oh no. I was looking in my inventory for something. So I was just standing there, just looking through stuff. Like, what could I possibly do? And then, ta-da, he shows up.
At long last, things are starting to click. Not quite the way they should, but he's noticing more.
Kevin the guide has arrived. Wait a second. Oh, I saw that Maxwell died earlier. Now Kevin is here. That must have been what happened to Dylan. But why did Dylan die and no one else? Let's go down there and stand really still and hopefully summon that guy again.
He returned to the scene of the crime to try and figure it out, but totally missed the events that had transpired, and so I had to give him a little hint.
You have possessed the item needed to summon the thing.
Okay.
I guess I'll even add that you have possessed the summon. However, every time you have summoned him was not from using it from your inventory.
What? Okay. Okay. Well, that's annoying because I hoard absolutely everything, and then this stuff happens, and I don't know what changed. Am I at this current pace? Am I ever gonna figure it out, or do I need a hint?
You'll probably figure it out.
Okay.
I just don't know. I don't know how long it'll take, but you'll probably figure it out.
Full credit to Travis, I could have been more specific, but he wanted to figure it out. And good thing too, because he's looking at the voodoo doll again. Only issue is, he remembers what the arms dealer said about it.
I actually have the voodoo doll for Tyrone, so I want to see if that does anything. Tyrone, I have a doll for you, weird guy. Here we go, Tyrone. Here, have a doll. There you go. There's the doll. You happy now? You gonna shoot it? No, nothing. You throw the doll on the ground. It looks like a little kid.
His next idea was much closer to accurate.
Yeah, I have an idea.
Oh.
If it's like a specific creature that I end up killing that summons it?
Hmm.
Because I have an idea.
Any
as
idea
to-
what that creature might be?
It's like one of the fancier looking demon dudes. So not the one that throws the thick sickles, but one of the ones that shoots fireballs. I can't remember if we killed one of those and then like 2 minutes later, another one, the wall summoned.
Good for him, and imp spawned immediately.
Die. Die. Okay, now we wait. Where are you? Or this theory is just a bust.
It's possible. He killed another voodoo demon, but after childproofing the underworld, there's little chance they'll fall into the lava accidentally unless he continues exploring.
Okay, so killing that imp guy was not the summon
Nope.
that I thought it was going to be. Let's see. What was up there? Because I was going to mine something is what happened when I went up.
And it was something of the underworld.
Okay, well, I don't remember anything between the tower and the climbing of the upward. Yes.
And he just keeps collecting dolls.
I have 3 more voodoo dolls. Okay, that's crazy. My next theory is, because I can't remember how I summoned the guy the first time, but I was leaving the underworld. I'm just curious if I interacted with something on my way out.
So he thought maybe leaving spawned the wall, but I shot that down before he wasted a bunch of time. But he is thinking of a lot of theories, including something I bet nobody has ever thought of before. He noticed dripping lava on the map, something that spawns naturally in the world and can be placed when you craft a magic lava dropper from the empty droppers the wizard sells. Turns out these things will appear on the map, and because he's throwing things at the wall, well, oh, wait, that's a joke. He thought maybe they are responsible for summoning the wall.
I interact with it. Does that spawn the dude?
No.
No.
Now, in between all this time in the underworld and his last time in the underworld, he figured out that hell forges are in fact forges because on the map, it labels them, but he still is confused about their function.
There's a lot of hell forges. But I have. Do they do anything? Let's see, what other kind of objects have I run into that are like those? I ran into the what are they called? Demon altars, which were good for crafting Cthulhu eyes. I'm curious if these are similar.
What's it look like to you?
It looks like a chest of some
Okay.
sort,
And what's it called?
right? Hellforge. I mean, it looks like you craft. It sounds like you craft something, but it looks like something is hidden inside of it. So I don't know how to interact with it.
Back to another wall spawn theory.
So another thing that I did was stand still. So I can do that anytime. So I'm gonna go over here
That
to
was
the
not.
left.
I'll just say that.
Okay. I was gonna stand still and read some achievement things.
Okay. Oh yeah, that'd be worthwhile though. Check the achievements.
At long last, he does something that will crack the code. He looks at the achievements. In my video about how Terraria is actually easy to learn, I talked about how the achievements are a great way to learn the essentials of how to progress in the game, and they have been perhaps the most important tool in Travis's toolbox when it comes to learning the game.
Demon brain which haunts the creeping crimson. I have not found that yet. Don't think.
Yep.
A large bee's hive in the jungle. Defeat the queen bee. Craft a molten pickaxe using the hottest of materials. Okay. Wall of flesh. Master and core of the world who arises after a great burning sacrifice. Great burning sacrifice. What?
You have to kill me, Travis. No.
Burning sacrifice. That's a hint, I think. So I'm gonna go over here to the left. Check something. Great burning sacrifice. Should I throw something in the lava?
Interesting idea.
I may have. What kind of thing would I have thrown away?
Yeah. What would you have thrown?
A flower. Maybe he doesn't like flowers. My inventory is full, so I have something to throw away. Have a flower. Okay, game time. Da-na-na, da-na-na. No, okay, not that. What else? a torch. Brick. Voodoo doll. I did it!
He figured it out! Hey! And at long last, he was able to fight the wall afresh on purpose. Now, there are a couple of things to note. For one, the wall, I think, is one of the bosses who gets hit the hardest by difficulty changes. Classic to expert mode are night and day with this boss, and fighting it in Classic is definitely going to make Travis's life a million times easier. More than the other bosses, he seems to struggle with figuring out how to attack the wall afresh. What with how it moves very differently, and the fact that he now has to do some parkour, he would frequently transition from attacking to just moving. Like most noobs or non-gamers, he could only focus on one thing at a time and hasn't quite nailed down dodging and attacking at the same time. Another thing of note that I hadn't thought of is that the underworld being filled with lava naturally motivates the player to make a bridge, which inadvertently results in them making an arena for the wall. Perhaps it's not as good as it could be if they don't go through the buildings, but designing the underworld like this makes it far more likely the new player will have made enough of a space to stand a chance against the wall, even if it's still not quite long enough.
Oh no!
Uh-oh. Oh no! Oh no! Oh no! So close!
I almost pulled out my lava potion there, but I couldn't find it. Okay, so that's why I have a crap ton of voodoo dolls.
Now I know for myself, I tried summoning the wall again immediately, throwing dolls into the lava only to be confused as to why the wall wouldn't spawn. How many of you did that as well? Maybe I was just the dumb one, but thankfully Travis was not one of those dumb people like me. He put it together pretty fast.
He has to be alive so we can kill him again, right? Maybe?
But he did draw another bad conclusion from this, thinking that the guide is no longer necessary.
Maybe we don't need him anymore. We've progressed past the point of needing a guide. Oh.
Considering how he still doesn't understand the guide's crafting option, I sure hope he decides to talk to him some more and doesn't ignore him as this conclusion of his suggests.
Well, we'll throw his doll in the lava and see if that changes anything. Sorry, guide, but yeet. Yeet. That's very dramatic. Oh, he does have to be alive.
Wah, wah.
Okay.
He was about to start exploring while waiting for the guide, but he appeared before he did much.
Tanner the guide. Ah, we can burn him now. Okay. Forget that. We're gonna go sacrifice him.
That laugh.
He's puking worms or something. Yes. Remind me not to sacrifice people in lava. It doesn't look very nice.
No. I hope I never have to remind you not to do that.
Hey!
He did it.
We killed the thing. Wow, that was a lot of achievements.
And that is how Travis defeated the Wall of Fresh and generally figured out the underworld, except for one thing he missed entirely: Hellstone. This entire time, he only had a golden pickaxe. It wasn't until hard mode, and after some hints from myself, that he figured out there was a mineable ore down there. He learned this in part because of his inability to mine the new ores, because he was trying to figure out how to mine the stuff. He crafted the demonite pickaxe, and I had to tell him to reread the tooltip for him to figure out he could mine Hellstone, and then it took him a second to learn what Hellstone was, but even when he did, he still doesn't know about obsidian, and I don't know what to say about this. His inability to mine Hellstone and lack of any way to learn how to use it was actually one of the first things that made him more clearly frustrated, probably because he could see all the new and cool things that hard mode introduced, but he had no idea how to engage with it. It was like dangling the keys of a shiny new car in front of him, but not telling him how to get it. Terraria does have one method he could have learned this, the guide, if he figured out the crafting mechanic. By throwing Hellstone ore in the crafting box, he could have learned about obsidian, but he just never learned about that option. This could be one of the most important features a noob needs to learn in order to beat the game: the guide's crafting menu. Especially as crafting is going to become a lot more complex in hard mode, and you can see what happens when a noob enters hard mode for the first time when the video releases by clicking right here. If it hasn't released, consider joining me in an examination of how well another very important biome the corruption was designed.